CUNET.com.
Built Right Furniture, Leather, and Mattress.
You gotta get to Built Right today.
The Braves are back in Milwaukee.
The mighty Braves from Milwaukee.
But now is no time to revel in the past.
Durbin, a drive, left center, deep, see you later!
Our Brewers-Braves game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Milwaukee Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
10:01, we have 61 degrees, mostly cloudy, breezy, scattered showers and storms today with a high of 69. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. A Slender Man stabber needs to wait a bit longer again for her conditional release.
Morgan Geyser was supposed to have a review hearing today. It's now rescheduled for mid-July. The state says it needs more time to complete her conditional release plan, and Geyser's attorney is requesting that now retired Waukesha Judge Michael Boren continue to oversee her case. Geyser and Anissa Wire were found not guilty by reason of mental defect in 2014 for attempting to stab their classmate Peyton Leitner to death to appease the fictional character Slender Man. Wire was released to live with her father in 2021, and Geyser is expected to transition to a group home. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
California Governor Gavin Newsom urging President Trump to pull back the National Guard troops the president sent to L.A. to help with the immigration protests. Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
He says Trump is seeking a, quote, spectacle to further his own political goals, calling it a, quote, manufactured crisis. Now, right now, Trump is relying on an unorthodox use of a law aimed at quelling rebellion. These troops, as of now, cannot directly assist with law enforcement unless the president invokes what's known as the Insurrection Act. He so far has stopped short of that, but overnight, Trump did label the demonstrators insurrectionists.
This is the first time since the 60s a president's bypassed a state governor in calling up troops. 2 people dead after a shooting near Las Vegas Bellagio fountains that was live streamed on YouTube last night. Video showed a gunman firing shots during what seemed to be a confrontation. That confrontation reportedly between 2 YouTubers who had some sort of feud on social media. Grant Hardin, an escaped convict, captured less than 2 miles from the medium security prison in Arkansas, where he walked out of May 25th.
News that Grant Hardin had escaped sent a chill through Gateway, Arkansas, where Hardin was once police chief.
I honestly thought that he was coming up to this area.
Cheryl Tillman is mayor of Gateway and sister to the man Grant Hardin murdered in 2017. When she learned that Hardin had been recaptured,
we all said hallelujah. We just screamed and hollered.
Hardin has been transferred from the medium security Calico Rock prison to Arkansas's Varner Supermax facility. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Milwaukee County floating the idea of auctioning off the abandoned boat Deep Thought that sat on the lakefront for nearly 7 months before its removal last month. County reports the cost to remove the boat sits at $50,000 with $30,000 covered so far by donations. Supervisor Steve Taylor told WTMJ last month he's worried taxpayers could be stuck paying for the boat's removal if the county doesn't come up with a solution.
There's a financial implication potentially to the taxpayers if these donors don't follow through or they don't fully cover it.
The county report will be discussed on Tuesday. School's out for the summer, but high school students could have a chance to get a jump start on college for free. Sophia Learning offering 6 courses to 100,000 high school juniors and seniors at no cost. CEO Dr. Shauna Thayer tells Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News.
All of our courses are recommended for credit by the American Council of Education, and they are self-paced and online, so students can move through the courses at their own speed.
Dr. Thayer says the credits are often transferable to colleges. Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down 85 points. NASDAQ is up 75. S&P 500 up 5. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth. Annex Private Client. Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 10:04.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. You've heard about Tri-County Contracting and their worry-free roof tune-up. You've heard about their instant roof quote. But don't forget, Tri-County Contracting also handles windows. Our project at my home moving right along right now, and the process has been so easy and thorough. It's nice when you can trust the team you're working with and know that they are looking out for you. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com. It's worry-free roofing, siding, and also windows. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. Go behind the scenes of the Emmy-nominated Giannis documentary. Get the real story of the blockbuster trade for Damian Lillard. Hear the origin of Bucks in 6. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network, presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, and wherever you get podcasts.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and, in rare cases, fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Time for WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Milwaukee lost 1-0 to the Padres at home. Brewers went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position and stranded 10 men on base. Milwaukee continues the homestand tonight against the Braves. Packers entering their final week of off-season workouts. Green Bay will hold a 3-day mandatory minicamp beginning tomorrow. Team will then break until training camp kicks off later this summer. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We have a slew of disabled vehicles. It looks like they are all off on the shoulder. One is on the exit to Rawson Avenue from I-41 North. We've got another one, I-94 West, about a mile and a half beyond the ramp from Highway 100. The right shoulder is blocked there as well. And it looks like another one up here at I-41 South at North Avenue West. Here's the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, scattered showers and storms today. High 69, partly cloudy 54 overnight. Partly cloudy tomorrow, haze in the afternoon and evening. High 76. Sunny, warm and humid Wednesday with storms in the evening at a high of 83. Rain and storm chances both Thursday and Friday. Thursday's high 72. Friday's high 64 lakeside, about 68 inland. 60 in Madison and in Green Bay, 61 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
And good morning. Welcome to the Monday show, Kristin Brey.
Hello.
That sounded like AI. Hello.
Would you like me to do a whole show like that?
No, I would not. Joining us in studio, as he often does, from Channel 12, Political Director Matt Smith. Good morning and happy Monday, Matt Smith.
Can we hear Matt Smith?
Can you hear me?
Now
yeah,
we
there we
Matt
go.
Smith. All
Happy
right.
Monday. Good morning. All three of us on the mics. All right. Where do we want to start? You had an interesting guest.
Yeah, so you had a big guest over the weekend on Upfront. State Representative Speaker Robin Vos was with you because the news last week was... I guess, are we surprised? Are we not surprised? But budget talks between the governor's office and Republicans in the legislature have broken down.
I'm not surprised.
There was talks of it thawing. Are you surprised, Matt?
No, I mean, not necessarily. But it was like in rather dramatic fashion that we saw these statements come out from the leaders in the Senate and the Assembly and the governor's office, all proclaiming talks dead and pointing the finger at each other as we're now nearing the July 1st deadline to have a new budget.
And so up until this point, there was, because that was, I think, one of the pieces coming out from the original, we're starting with a certain amount of the framework. We're not scrapping the whole thing. There was 600 some pieces of Governor Evers' budget that the Joint Finance Committee said that we're scrapping this part, but there's some part of this that we are keeping. Now, with these talks crumbling, they're going to start over entirely?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're going to go through kind of what they have in previous cycles, where Republicans are going to do their own version of the budget, which is now going through the Joint Finance Committee. They'll pass it through the legislature and send it to the governor's desk. What we've kind of found out, not only through our interview with Speaker Voss, but just talking with other folks in recent days, is there seemed to be an agreement on a tax cut package that the governor agreed to. Where these negotiations seem to fall apart is funding for public schools, for childcare, for the UW system, in terms of how much the governor and his administration wanted versus how much Republicans were willing to pony up, I guess.
And we have a little bit of that when Speaker Voss was on the show this weekend.
The governor says Republicans have refused to invest in public school education, child care counts, child care in the UW system. Did you not come to the table on that end?
That's a lie.
A lie?
Yeah, I mean, we're willing to do it, just not as much as he wanted. I mean, that's the difference. When you read that statement, it makes it sound like we were at zero. We weren't at zero on any of those topics, right? We tried to find a way to invest in childcare that actually went to the parents and to make sure that we weren't just having it go to businesses, right? We tried to find a way to look at education so that money would actually go back to school districts all across the state. It just wasn't enough for what he wanted. We found a way to get money into the UW for the first time in almost a dozen years, but because it wasn't as much as he wanted, he wasn't willing to take a smaller win.
You look at these conversations, you've had these conversations with Speaker Voss and leadership on both sides. I'm not going to say who's telling the truth, but is there a little grain of truth on both sides of the aisle when it comes to it, spending for education, spending for child care? We heard the little piece about having it go to parents versus businesses.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always going to be friction, right? And if you're going to negotiate, you're going to get some things you want and some things you don't want if you reach a compromise. The governor came out and said, listen, I'll agree to some of these tax provisions that I don't necessarily like if you come up in terms of public school funding, the UW system. Voss didn't go into specifics in terms of numbers.
I was going to say, or amounts.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason is because they're going to lay it out in their version of the budget as it goes through the Joint Finance Committee. But it seems like on both sides, there still is this sliver of like, well, if he wants to come back to talk, they're open to continuing these negotiations if someone reaches out across the aisle. It'd be curious to see what Republicans are willing to do on the UW funding. Voss indicated they wanted some more reforms, like requiring that professors teach at least 12 credits. So like some things that are not money-based, but I guess some things we also haven't heard yet that came out of these negotiations.
And I read that in the write-up for the show as far as it'd be interesting to see more data on that as how many professors and what the average credits taught are, and also balanced with research, right? Because we all obviously know with UW-Madison, it's a huge research institution. And so if you're not teaching, are you heading labs? Are you, what else are you doing?
He is Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12. She is Kristin Brey. I'm Steve Scaffidi. It is the Monday edition of Point Taken on 620 WTMJ. Lots more to talk about with the state of Wisconsin and the budget after this on 620 WTMJ.
The Cane Table from Penny Mustard is more than just a table.
It's hosted countless brunches and long conversations with friends.
It's served as an emergency office on snow days or when the kids come down with the croup.
It's seen its fair share of crumbs between the leaves.
Or drool from the dog waiting for food to drop.
The Cane Table is made for signing important documents.
Holding family meetings.
And painstakingly piecing together puzzles.
It's headquarters for homework.
Craft projects.
Board games.
And the wrapping of various gifts.
The Cane's Encore chairs have been used to relax.
To build blanket forts.
Or to help reach something on the back of the top shelf.
It's not about food.
It's about memories.
So it's gotta last.
It's made in the Midwest. So it will.
For generations to come.
The Cane Dining Room Table with 6 Encore chairs starting at $61.97 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. I hope you'll join me and Brian Jacobson, the chief economist for Annex Wealth Management, this Wednesday, June 11th at 9 a.m. as we dive into the markets, inflation, your 401k and the economy. I know it's complicated and you have a lot of questions. Brian's got a lot of answers. This is a free webinar, but you need to register ahead of time. Go to WTMJ.com, click the Instant Insight Register Now button, or you can find it at AnnexWealth.com. It's Wednesday, June 11th, 9 a.m. Register today.
From the post-game show to the morning show, there's no rest for baseball and Dominic Cotroneo.
I was like a kid on Christmas Eve. I couldn't sleep last night. I was just so excited to get ready to watch games that count.
Dominic Cotroneo is our Brewers 360 guest every Monday morning at 8:45 on Wisconsin's Morning News.
There are some roster decisions I do want to break down here, and then we'll get into the lineup.
Brewers 360 is sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited and Big Fish Contracting.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristin Brey. He is Steve Scaffidi, and it's Monday. So Matt Smith from Channel 12, political director and host of Upfront, co-host of Upfront, is joining us. So just to wrap up talks on where the budget goes from here, you kind of said in the last segment that there is potential of a door open, but for now, we're going to wait to see the Joint Finance Committee come up with their own budget. What do you think would have to be in there or not be in there for Evers to just veto the entire thing, which he's never done?
Yeah, he is not. I mean, it's gone through this process before, right, where Republicans have passed their version of the budget through the legislature. They then send it to the governor. And I mean, listen, the state Supreme Court upheld the governor's veto powers. So he does have the ability to go in and try to change things, although Republicans are going to make it really difficult this time by like literally writing out numbers instead of having the numbers.
Yeah, so the famous quote, was it last week, where he said we're not going to use GPT to sort of create language.
At least not yet.
Yeah.
We haven't used it yet.
Yeah. Although technology, you might want to think about that. When we look at these storylines of, the thawing or the sort of separation between Republicans and Democrats when it comes to the budget, somebody said this to me in a text last week. I think it was a text or an email. But isn't this an example of how it's supposed to work? The Republicans have crafted for the last two cycles a budget that the governor eventually signed.
Yeah.
That is, in some ways, how it's supposed to work, because you have a Republican-led legislature and a Democratic governor.
Yeah.
That is sort of the way this shakes out politically in Wisconsin, and that necessarily could also point to that there are some times where they sort of work things out, albeit troubled waters along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
I mean, and I think these negotiations, which have been more extensive than in previous budget cycles, I mean, they were meeting every day for a while until these talks stalled. I think that also gives a baseline for Republicans now to know what the governor is willing to sign when you look at what they're going to propose for tax cuts. I mean, the question is going to be when you look at public school funding and the UW and childcare and how it's funded. I mean, it could get to a point where the governor either says, yes, I'm going to sign this, or no, I'm not.
What is the likelihood, you think, of that surplus that's been sitting there since COVID, basically? I mean, it's come down a little bit. I think the peak was a little over $7 billion, and now it's sitting at around $4 billion. That we get to a place where that is actually spent on something versus continuing to sit there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we get to a point where the tax cut package is agreed upon, and I think, listen, I mean, everyone's going to start looking ahead to 2026, right? So whether the governor runs for re-election or not, he said he's going to make his decision after this budget cycle. I mean, running on tax cuts, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, right? I mean, we've seen this storyline play out before where the Republican legislature in the budget passes a tax cut, the governor signs it, everyone can take credit, which everyone always takes credit and points the finger at others. I mean, so it becomes political. So I think in terms of potential tax cuts, I mean, I think we could see some of that used in this budget cycle,
Education is obviously a big talking point for this governor. He came from that system and that arena, and we've had the back and forth between Republicans and Democrats. Interesting proposal on sort of an income tax deduction, an income tax deduction for educators. We've all heard the stories. My wife's a teacher. She told me this, and she probably spent more than $300, which is sort of the number. Buying things for their classrooms that weren't necessarily paid for by the school district. The teachers are doing because they're conscientious. They are good educators. They want to do what's right for the kids. But there's a proposal now to add that in. I don't want to give all the details on the proposal because it's an idea. But the co-author, Representative David Armstrong from Rice Lake, is basically suggesting what I think a lot of people are suggesting, that perhaps this is and Voss mentioned this a little bit, sort of a softening of this hardcore, no, the governor's asking for unrealistic expectations for budget for dollars for education. Is this a softening of that position maybe, or perhaps another way to fund it, sort of outside of just throwing money at it?
Yeah, perhaps, an outside of, something that they haven't done before, just in terms of approaching funding in different ways and tax cuts and rebates and what have you. I think we're going to see more of that as this budget talk goes on. And another thing to take into consideration is even before it gets to the governor, in terms of an overall budget, you have to look to the state Senate. They could very well need Democratic votes. It's a very slim margin for Republicans. So anything they're doing, they're going to have to do in a way thinking and knowing that they may need 1 or 2 or 3 Democrats to vote for this even to get it out of the state Senate.
In the conversation with Voss, at any point on air or off, the show is up front on Channel 12, and Matt Smith is the political director there, did he give you a timeline? This is when we think this might happen.
Listen, they are still hopeful to reach the July 1st deadline to have a budget passed. And
Passed?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Passed. That's what he said.
So 3 weeks, basically.
Yeah, listen, and in one regard, they can go from 0 to 100 rather quickly. And the fact that these negotiations have now stopped could actually make Republicans move even faster, because they're now not waiting for this grand deal, right? Or whatever to happen between the governor's administration and Republicans. They can kind of essentially whip through their budget, get it to the governor, and that could happen quickly. Whether it does or not, I guess we'll see how this plays out over the next couple of weeks.
And it sounds like, at least from the interview that you had with Speaker Voss, is they're still not really concerned with what's happening at the federal level as far as the big, beautiful bill.
Not at all.
How it impacts Medicaid and food share in Wisconsin. So we'll hear a little bit about that. He thinks it's a non-issue.
Now, there are work requirements, which if you're able-bodied, you shouldn't be on Medicaid anyways. You should be out looking for a job and getting insurance through your employer, or, worst case scenario, buying it through the exchange like millions of people do around the country. So if you're able to work, Wisconsinites, Republicans have talked about that for a generation.
There are projections, though, that this could cost the state $8 million just in 1 year to implement the Medicaid changes, upwards of $300 million to changes in food share. Would the state absorb those costs?
So those are national numbers. I think a lot of those are exaggerated.
It's coming from the state Medicaid office.
They are, but I think they're by people who are exaggerating because of political purposes to try to scare folks at home.
It's an interesting point you made there, and thanks for throwing that in there, because the back and forth on this is filled with misconceptions, overstatements.
What the numbers actually mean.
Yeah, who it affects.
What's exaggerating, what's not.
I feel like this is an area where we don't have a good handle. I don't think anybody has a good handle on what this actually means to the people who are impacted by it.
Well, you did interview Wisconsin's Medicaid director, Bill Hanna. So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what he says the Medicaid, what the implications are for Medicaid and SNAP/food share are in Wisconsin should this federal bill pass. So stay with us on Point Taken.
Want to stay up to date with the crew?
Christian Yelich just keeps on doing it. That was a bomb of epic proportions.
Tune in to Brewers Extra Innings with Dominic Cotroneo after every game.
With Yelich in the middle of this, it feels like a big league dangerous lineup. I got to avoid having base runners on for that guy, and that guy is Christian Yelich.
Or listen anytime on the Brewers All Access podcast feed. We are your home of the Brewers, WTMJ.
The big focus in America today on your health, and you're determined to look beyond those pills and steroids and surgery to feel your best, right? Well, I want to talk to people who are in pain right now, and maybe that's someone you love, friend, neighbor, family, your spouse. You've done everything they told you to do. The pain just comes back. You're exhausted, but you don't give up. Hey, it's WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi for QC Kinetics. They are different. They're not quick fixes. This is a revolutionary treatment that works to give your body long-term relief. You can meet face-to-face with our medical directors and their team. Dr. Ashley Caravelli's there. They'll explain how their regenerative treatments take your body's own healing power and helps them restore your damaged tissue. They're well-respected protocols that include potent and powerful cellular-level treatments. QC Kinetics has helped tens of thousands of people, so many of them right here in Milwaukee. I'll be going there in a couple weeks for my visit. They'll be honored to help you as well. No masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. You can say goodbye to that chronic pain and live your best life. To find out if you're a good candidate, the consultation is free with appointments. Just call QC Kinetics at 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474.
Hi, this is Jeff Levering with the Brewers Radio Network. Ridgetop Exteriors, Wisconsin's trusted name in home improvement, does more than just top-quality roofing. They're your go-to for maintenance-free siding and energy-efficient windows, too. Ridgetop has expert credentials with leading manufacturers like Pella, James Hardie, and LP Smart Siding. For over 20 years, they delivered exceptional craftsmanship and service. Call Ridgetop Exteriors today or visit ridgetopexteriors.com. Ridgetop Exteriors, where customer service always comes first.
Ridgetop Exteriors.
A buck in today's world doesn't go far unless you're spending it at Griffin. Because for just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. Buy one or a whole set. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand. We'll put you in new tires for just $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. That's right, $1 over cost, and we'll even show you the invoice to prove it. So what's the catch? There's really no catch. You don't have to buy a car or a truck from us. We'd like it if you did, but our only requirement is we put them on for you. Buy one, two, or a set of four. The $1 deal at Griffin. Available at Griffin Chrysler Jeep South, 27th Street and Jefferson. Griffin Ford, Waukesha, and Fort Atkinson. 5 ways to make your dollar go further. Griffin, the buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. $1 over cost. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with any other tire offers.
Thanks for listening to Point Taken on this Monday edition. Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12 in Milwaukee, host of the great political show, for the most part. Up Fronts with Jared and Jordan.
The show, for the most part, is
For the most
good.
part, politics. Do you ever meet?
Politics. I thought she meant great.
No, it's always
I took
great.
it that way, too. You know what? That's all right. Some weeks are bad. I'll admit it.
No.
You have off days.
Yeah.
Okay, we got that worked out?
We got it worked
All right.
out.
It's always a great show. All right, so we're bringing it up. We brought this up before the break. Medicaid.
Yeah.
And federal decisions, Wisconsin impact, this back and forth, this confusion. I don't know that anybody really has sorted out. It sounds like from the clips I heard that they haven't sorted out the details yet. What do we know? I know Bill Hanna was on the show.
I mean, so this is all going back to the big, beautiful bill going through Washington, right? We're going to see changes in the Senate, but what we're talking about, I guess, is the current version that passed the House that is now in the Senate. And yeah, I mean, listen, you hear some Republicans say absolutely no cuts to Medicaid, no cuts, no cuts, no cuts. What there are these enhanced work requirements, which in the state of Wisconsin, the state Medicaid director, which works through the Department of Health Services, he's appointed by Governor Evers, says that will impact 63,000 Wisconsinites.
That's his number.
That's his number.
Yeah.
That's the state number. He says the Fiscal Bureau has backed him up on that number. And that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to lose insurance. It means that these changes are going to impact them. So there's the potential that, yes, they could lose their Medicaid coverage.
So are we saying, when we say impact, does that mean that these are people who are able-bodied, not caretakers? So they're people who could be working. So people who will be eligible for these new work requirements.
Yeah, so essentially people between 19 and 64 who don't have children, dependent children, and who are not meeting the current work requirements that will now be laid out in the new bill, whether it's working or searching for work or these long lists of requirements that are in this legislation.
Do Republicans dispute that number publicly?
They haven't disputed the number. But what they will come out, and we heard Speaker Voss say, is there's no cuts to Medicaid. And I guess you could make the argument that, the cuts were, as the bill is now, are not as deep as they could have been, right? Like in terms of completely eliminating funding to states or what have you. And that could still change. But in terms of the work requirements, their argument is, well, if you're able-bodied, you should be working. And if you're working, you can get insurance on the private marketplace through your employer.
But it sounds like at least the conversation with Bill Hanna was there's a weird middle between who isn't actually eligible to be on the exchange. So let's hear that.
That would force those 63,000 Wisconsinites to do what?
They either need to meet the work requirements, send in additional paperwork to meet one of the long list of exemptions that are in the bill, or ultimately, if they do not meet the work requirements and or do not meet the exemption requirements, they would become uninsured. They would not be eligible to buy health care on the exchange.
And why is that?
The technical rule is that they had access to Medicaid, and if you have access to Medicaid but for the work requirements, you are not eligible for subsidies on the marketplace.
So how does that work? So it's basically saying, I mean, it basically flies in the face of what Robin Voss had said, right? As far as we're trying to move people, if they don't meet the work exemption or the work requirements and they don't meet any of these other exemptions, they can get private health insurance on the exchange, but it sounds like they're not actually eligible?
According to the state, yes.
Wow.
According to the state, if the only hiccup is the work requirement that they are not meeting. I mean, so big picture, right, this is incredibly complicated and messy, and no one really knows the fallout in the individual states once this would be implemented.
So wouldn't that incentivize looking for work, volunteering, or trying to find a job that pays low enough that you are still eligible for Medicaid, but you're actually working? Like, it doesn't actually incentivize anyone to get a higher paying job.
This is where it all falls apart, because the disconnect between feds and state, there's so many different nuances to this story that you have to figure this stuff out before you throw people in the state of chaos over their health care. That's the problem, the part that's not right now resolved.
And not to mention the cost to the states to implement all these changes, which we talked about as well.
Like all the administrative
behind the scenes.
You know, sign me up as someone who's not confident the state will do it any better. Trust me, the states screw up as well. Maybe not this state, but other states. All right, we got more with Matt Smith. Before we get to any of that, here's the latest now from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry. Preston, California is gearing up to sue the White House over what happened over the weekend. ABC's Alex Stone is in Los Angeles with more.
Today, Governor Gavin Newsom announcing California will be suing President Trump over his deployment of National Guard troops here under Title X, allowing him to federalize them. Newsom alleges Trump illegally federalized the troops and that the order he signed does not only apply to California, but that the order allows Trump to send troops into any state. Every Democratic governor in the U.S. has signed onto a letter calling it an illegal use of authority.
The Trump travel ban is now in effect. Citizens from a dozen countries are now banned from visiting the United States. Citizens from 7 other countries face restrictions, but not a total ban. Another salmonella outbreak, this one involving eggs from the August Egg Company. So far, nearly 80 people have gotten sick, and more than 20 have been hospitalized, mostly in western states. The FDA has issued a recall. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:31. I'm Connie Weber. A hearing on the release of one of the Slenderman stabbers, Morgan Geyser, was supposed to happen today. It's been postponed after the state requested more time to complete her conditional release plan. Her attorney also requested that now retired Waukesha Judge Michael Boren continue to oversee her case. Judge Boren rejected a plan that would have released Geyser to a group home just 8 miles from where Leitner lives. A new review hearing is set for July 17th. Hundreds of cars and spectators blocked a street on Milwaukee's south side late Sunday, 13th and Forest Home, the latest street takeover. These kinds of incidents have prompted city leaders to propose an ordinance change that would impose a minimum fine of $500 for spectators of such events. It's unclear if any arrests were made at Sunday's takeover. If you want to own the abandoned boat pulled off the Milwaukee lakefront last month, you may be in luck. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reports Milwaukee County floating the idea of auctioning off the boat Deep Thought to help pay for its removal cost. County Parks report due to be discussed Tuesday says All City Towing has charged $50,000 for the boat's removal. Here's the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is down 104 points, 42,658. NASDAQ is up 50, 19,580. S&P 500 up a point at 6,001. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We do have a new crash. It looks like it is off right, though, blocking just the shoulder, no lanes. I-94 West at County G. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Cloudy, breezy, scattered showers and storms today, high 69. Partly cloudy tonight, low 54. Haze in the afternoon and evening tomorrow, high 76. Warm and humid storms Wednesday night after a high of 83. Then a chance of rain and storms both Thursday and Friday. Thursday's high 72. Friday's high 64 to 68. 62 in Madison and Green Bay, 63 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:33.
St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores has been voted the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel's Best in Thrift. So to all who voted for us, thank you. And to those who haven't yet been here, there are so many items to explore. And at thrift store prices, you can find a really great deal. At the same time, you'll be helping us help others, sometimes folks right in your own neighborhood. St. Vincent de Paul Thrift Stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Hey there, Brewers fans. We've got a new way for you to watch the Brew Crew this season, FanDuel Sports Network. And now there are more ways to watch the Brewers than ever before. Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream all the action. Or, new this season, Brewers Baseball is now available on Amazon Prime Video as an add-on subscription. You can also access FanDuel Sports Network through TV providers, including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. Visit GetMyHomeTeams.com to learn more.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. You've heard about Tri-County Contracting and their worry-free roof tune-up. You've heard about their instant roof quote. But don't forget, Tri-County Contracting also handles windows. Our project at my home moving right along right now, and the process has been so easy and thorough. It's nice when you can trust the team you're working with and know that they are looking out for you. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com. It's worry-free roofing, siding, and also windows. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com.
Looking ahead to life's next adventure? Hi, I'm Mike Yancey from Yancey & Associates. Whether you're buying a home or launching your dream business, we know there's a lot on your plate. But here's the thing, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1946, we've helped Wisconsinites like you secure, protect, and grow their version of the American dream. Our team is ready to tailor the perfect plan for you. Learn more at ANSAY.com. That's ANSAY.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. He is Steve Scaffidi, and we are talking to Matt Smith, political director over at Channel 12 and co-host of Upfront. All right, so moving beyond the boundaries of Wisconsin. What are you looking at me like that for, Steve?
I was at an echo in my headphones. That's all.
So are we getting a big parade?
Like they're doing in Washington, D.C. Are we getting one of those parades in Wisconsin?
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I doubt it. I don't think we'll get a parade in Wisconsin. But, I mean, it's an interesting, it's upon us, right? It's less than a week away as far as the parade happening.
Our friend Bill McCoshen will be at the parade. Along with that.
Is he going to do live hits with us?
Well, if we're working Saturday, it's on Saturdays.
Oh.
Yeah. So I guess my interest in your response on this parade is, as a news station, news provider, how would you cover this parade? It's sort of a mix, amalgamation is a big term, right? Of we have the celebration of the Army's 250th birthday. We have the president's birthday, which ironically just happens to fall
on the same day.
Yeah, that's weird. Weird coincidence. And there's one other, Flag Day, right?
Yeah.
All happening. So you can sort of hang your hat on any of that stuff if you're a supporter of the parade. I mean, the part that drives me nuts is, aren't we talking about a government? I know this is sort of falling into that edge where you can not have an opinion, but I'll get to the part where you can talk. It is sort of a weird thing because we have Doge going on and cutting this deficit, supposedly, if you listen to Ron Johnson and others. And yet we're going to spend $45 million on a parade down the streets of Washington, D.C. If you were covering this parade from a political perspective, how would you cover it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of politics involved in it, right? So, I mean, you're going to have the event itself, and then you're going to have what everyone is saying about the event, whether they're there or not. I think it'll be curious to see who is there, who isn't there. Are there any counter events to the parade?
Well, I think there's supposed to be a bunch of protests.
Big time.
And what that interaction looks like, right? I mean, obviously, we have seen what's developed in Los Angeles over the weekend. This now is just a week away from that. So, I mean, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of politics, and whether the purpose of the parade will be carried out and without any other outside influences, who knows?
What is, and is the purpose of the parade, if we're like really boiling it down, to show the might of our military? Is that the stated purpose of why we're doing this? And it also is that really in question? Like, does anyone question that we have the strongest, most well-funded military in the world?
Well, I think, unlike other parades, I mean, I think the purpose of this parade is up for debate as well, right? And the answers may fall along political lines, and clearly it's going to fall along political lines, whether you think this is a good idea, a bad idea, or are somewhat indifferent.
Here's what I fear. You have a military presence in the parade. There's tanks going to be rolling down the streets, apparently. You're setting up a nightmare scenario where protests, if they're successful in sort of breaking through the lines, You set up a weird dynamic where the military, who you're celebrating on this day, 250 years of the Army, against individual citizens. It's not the best look for the country. And I'm guessing that protesters, maybe not all, but some, are looking for that video moment that they can say, see what's happening on the streets of America? That's the downfall of doing things like this. That's probably why we don't do them. We know that in countries like North Korea and Russia, they do these, but there ain't no protesters diving through the lines or trying to get to the tanks or the members of the military because it would be stuffed pretty quickly. That's my fear, is that we may see an incident or two like this, especially given, as you just said, with what's happening on the streets of L.A. That's high risk. I would argue low reward. We already, to what your point, we already know it's
like, what is the benefit? Like, who
Donald
wins
Trump
from
wins.
this
Donald
as far
Trump
as
wins.
like the optics of what gained favor with whom? I don't know.
Donald Trump supporters want this, and the president wants this. And I think that's what this is. It's the ultimate vanity project. He wanted to do it the first time. It got scuttled at some point, mainly because of the cost, I believe. Maybe somebody can fill me in if I missed something. But it's a vanity project. And I'm sorry, as someone who lives in this country and is a proud citizen, I don't want to emulate countries like Russia and North Korea, whether you love a parade or not. And it's a fine line that they're walking, and I think it has serious implications if anything, hopefully it doesn't, goes wrong in Washington, D.C. But Bill McCoshen will be there, and I know this the week later, or maybe even sooner than that, we'll get his take on it, because he's going to the parade, and along with a lot of other people. I just worry that there's a potential for not good things to happen, and that's worrisome for me. We'll take a quick break here. Matt Smith, political director, will see what else he's working on, churning through the news department there at Channel 12. And Kristin, Brey, and Steve on this Point Taken Monday edition right here on 620 WTMJ.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ's Steve Scaffidi, and Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day after a brutal storm in Oak Creek. Hail damage, yeah, I had a lot of it. But Jeff, Jake, and the whole team, absolute pros, made the entire process smooth as can be. Let's be honest, not everyone knows how to deal with adjusters. They handle all the questions, quick answers, top-notch customer service. In just 2 days, my roof was done. If storm damage hits, call the team that made it easy for me. Loyal Family Renovations. Visit LoyalFamilyRenovations.com.
All different types of injury lawyers advertise. Cartoon lawyers, bobblehead lawyers, and folks chasing ambulances with text messages. Our clients don't want or need such lawyers. Our clients know, like, and trust that Pasternak and Zergabel will help in their time of need. I'm Jeff Zergabel of Pasternak and Zergabel. Frank Pasternak and I are excellent personal injury lawyers in our community. If you need help after an injury, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com. That's injurywisconsin.com.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. I hope you'll join me and Brian Jacobson, the chief economist for Annex Wealth Management, this Wednesday, June 11th at 9 a.m. as we dive into the markets, inflation, your 401k, and the economy. I know it's complicated and you have a lot of questions. Brian's got a lot of answers. This is a free webinar, but you need to register ahead of time. Go to WTMJ.com, click the Instant Insight Register Now button, or you can find it at AnnexWealth.com. It's Wednesday, June 11th, 9 a.m. Register today.
I'm Jim Token, president of the Automobile Dealers Association of Metro Milwaukee. Nobody can keep your car running smoothly like an Adam new car dealer. Adam service technicians are factory trained and use original factory parts backed by a warranty. Best of all, you'll find competitive pricing equal to or even lower than independent shops. A well-maintained car delivers maximum gas mileage and saves you money. Call an Adam dealer today because you're always better off at an Adam new car dealer.
Get an oil change and safety inspection today.
Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Outdoor Living Unlimited. Outdoor Living Unlimited is Wisconsin's #1 TimberTech decking installer. We install anything decks and more. Stop by Outdoor Living Unlimited showroom and visit OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Maybe it's Taylor Swift's birthday. Did we miss that one?
Is she like an October birthday?
I have no idea.
I have no
Maybe it's
idea.
October 11th, same as me. Wouldn't it be ironic if Taylor and I
have no idea when. Videos and pictures of her this weekend going to a wedding with at Travis Kelce's cousin's wedding.
Yeah. You think it's serious?
Is it Endgame? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Usually, a lot of times they're going to the wedding and then this looks nice. We could do this. Anyway, that's enough Taylor Swift talk. All right. I'm always fascinated by what you're thinking when you're looking ahead to the things you're going to cover. So what are you looking at this week, state or beyond?
Yeah, I think going back to our first conversation on the state budget, the Joint Finance Committee is going to meet several times this week and likely take up some rather heavy topics. So to be curious to see kind of where they go this week, how much they push through and how quickly they're going to move and if there's much debate at all. And same with the Senate. They have a July 4th deadline, they say, to get the big, beautiful bill done. So what happens this week and next week will be pivotal to see what, if any, they will make changes, but how dramatic those changes will be sent back to the House and what, if anything, will happen and get to President Trump's desk or not.
Are you headed to the Dells this weekend for the
TBD,
Wisconsin
the
Democrats convention
coming up this week and the chair election on Sunday. Yeah, there's a lot happening. We'll hear from the governor and Senator Baldwin and a lot of notable Democrats as we quickly look to the midterms in 2026. There's a governor's race I hear happening, right?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You think
apparently.
so he says after, going back to our first conversation, he says after the budget is done, right?
Yeah.
Basically what he said. So we could see maybe, because we usually have the governor, I usually have the governor on at State Fair Park. Maybe we could have him on at the State Fair to announce his.
Maybe he will announce it.
Yeah.
How jealous would you be if you
Would you be
announced it
very
on our
jealous of
show?
us?
Well, as long as it's on a Monday and I'm here.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, State Fair starts on a Thursday, not a Monday, so that would be problematic for you.
All right.
But let me just put it out there. If the governor,
there it is, yeah.
at some point he's got to make a decision either way.
He does.
I think he likes me. I think he likes you.
I think he does too.
What's your relationship with the governor like?
Well, I got him. I had a mini viral video last year when he said he loves Brat Summer. When I was asking him about Brat Summer, so we have that.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Brat Summer?
Yeah.
Last year with the DNC, all the memes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems like forever ago.
It does.
Like
it's like
it sure
almost
does.
like a
It
very
seemed like that's
different
like 3 years
life
ago,
that
but it was last
less
summer.
than a year.
Yeah. Less than a year ago, we were doing all that stuff. We were going through all the rigmarole for RNC.
A year ago, Joe Biden was still the candidate.
That's true.
Think about that.
Yeah.
I wonder if he'll go to the parade as a former president.
God. Are all the former presidents invited, you think?
I'm guessing some of them. Well, their relationship is not very good.
Exactly. But so do you think they're invited? I'm not saying they're going to go.
I hope so. I mean, that's sort of part of the protocols, right? You invite the former leaders to sort of in there with that fancy box that they set
I think
up.
it's like it was like Jimmy Carter's funeral. Like,
Yeah.
who went? Who sat next to whom?
Who slept while during the
What was
ceremony?
the interactions between everyone?
All the weird looks
The
and
lip
stares.
readers.
Exactly.
All right, so let's take a break. We always do something fun when we have you on. Do you like the fun part of the show?
Yeah.
All right. So this is an interesting one because
He's been obsessed with this for the last
Kristin
week.
doesn't think it's a good idea.
No, I think it's fine. It's funny that
yeah.
you're very excited to talk about this.
It's part of my old show is I would often do stories from studyfinds.org. It's one of my favorite websites, just weird things. And this one, I'm not surprised by the results, but we're going to ask Matt Smith about things he can and can't do as an adult. Also you.
Right.
Also me.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because we're millennial.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both millennials. So this might be an age thing.
Oh, no
as
wonder
far
I
as
always feel ganged up on in the studio.
How handy we are.
Yeah.
All right, that's the keys.
Oh, and by the way, Texter said, get nephew Max, not my nephew, my grandson, he said nephew, to interview the governor at the fair, which he's done previously.
There you go.
So Max is at baseball camp today. Standing invite.
There you go.
To interview the governor. Maybe Max asks him the big question, and then he tells Max he'd be a meme forever, right? Or a big story forever on social media. Wouldn't that
Yeah.
be wild? He's famous enough, that kid. He's only 9 years old. Come on, give him a break.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back in a minute. This is Point Taken.
The Brewers Radio Network salutes all those who serve or have served our country.
Vince Vitrano here, saluting my friend and WTMJ partner, Adam Hinsky, the Bugman, U.S. Army Specialist. Adam did 8 years in the service, 2 tours in Iraq as an all-wheeled vehicle mechanic. Proud to support his veteran-owned business, the Bugman in Queen Bee. Thank you, Adam.
Salute the Troops is sponsored by Discount Liquor, Mission 94 Firearms Education Center, and Great Midwest Bank.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Milwaukee Weight Loss. Yes, I've been on this journey for 4+ months, 40 pounds. Yes, thank you. It's secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat per day. Their doctors develop easy to follow. I could follow it. You can certainly do that. Helps you lose weight fast, naturally, safely. No drugs or injections with risk of serious side effects. None of the meals or the gimmicky stuff, the bars, shakes, all of that. You don't even have to exercise if you don't want to, but I encourage you to walk 10,000 steps every day. That is the secret and the recipe for a happy life. Their program helps reset your metabolism so you can keep the weight off for good with a coach, and their coaches are outstanding for ongoing support. The program, get this, costs up to half as much and works up to twice as fast. It works. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com, schedule your free consultation. Many patients, 20 to 30 pound weight loss in a month or two. I did it. You can do it, certainly. It's crazy to watch your body lose a pound per day. Schedule your free consultation by calling 262-449-1180 or go online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Visit family-owned Ken Michaels Furniture and our in-store design centers where you'll still find beautiful, luxurious, heirloom-quality American-made furniture. Right now, save 30 to 35% store-wide and take advantage of our complimentary design services. Whether you're moving, renovating, or updating, our designers will help your vision become a reality. Visit Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield on Capitol Drive and in Greenfield on Highway 100 to save 30 to 35% store-wide today. Sleep better and save more with mattresses from Milwaukee Mattress and Ken Michaels Furniture. Handcrafted in our Milwaukee factory, our mattresses utilize natural materials like cotton cushioning, which dissipates body heat, Joma wool quilts for warm wintry nights and cool summer evenings, and natural latex providing superior conformability and pressure relief for aching joints. Stop in today at any Ken Michaels Furniture store and save up to 50% compared to national brands.
Here's to experiencing it all this summer in Wisconsin. Every deliciously cheesy, rockin', magical, fireworks-filled, festival-loving moment. There's Cheese Curd Fest in Ellsworth, Strawberry Fest in Cedarburg, Festival of the Arts in Stevens Point, and the Renaissance Fair in Bristol, Honor the Earth Powwow in Hayward, Mile of Music in Appleton, Venetian Fest, Bratfest, Summerfest. So many fests for your whole crew. Find them all at travelwisconsin.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited, reminding you to double-check your home. Siding Unlimited is the proven exteriors professionals for 31 years. Family-owned and locally operated right here in Wisconsin. Call Siding Unlimited and visit sidingunlimited.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Taylor Swift fans
I'm going to say
today.
there's a trend today.
Yeah. I just did it just to see if people would notice, and no one did. But
My girls would notice. They'd be happy.
well, I hope your girls
I
are
like
listening.
this show. Go
Still,
on this
we're
show
still
more,
in
Matt.
school.
All right, Matt Smith, political director, Channel 12, host of Upfront, along with Jaron Jordan at Channel 12. I saw this story last week, and I've been bugging Kristin about it all through the last few days. A British company, insurance company, released this annual report that kind of looks at things people can and can't do around the house. And that's the UK, so, separate that part. But I think there's some commonality between the two countries. Obviously, we speak the same language, sort of. And it looks at things, basic skills that people can do. So, for example, if I asked you, Matt Smith, can you change a light bulb?
Yes.
All right, so 8 out of 10 can change a light bulb. I'm a little intrigued by
There's 20% that
That's
can't.
what I said. I was like, there's
Huh.
no way.
Apparently, well, they're afraid. It's hot and it's up
I
there.
would say, so these fluorescent long bulbs, different than screwing in a light bulb, right?
Yeah.
There's certain
Yeah.
lights.
They're talking about a light bulb.
Yes, a light bulb. Who doesn't know how to change a light bulb?
Righty-tighty.
Lefty loosey.
Lefty-loosey, yeah. All right, read a map.
Yes.
A paper map.
Yeah. I haven't in a long time, but I could.
66% can, and that means 34% can't read a map.
Yeah.
Put my wife in the can't read a map. She can't even GPS properly. Anyway, here's an interesting one. If a button would fall off one of your nice shirts that you wear for TV, could you sew that said button back on?
No.
You could, even if it was poorly done, you can't just I think you could figure it out.
Can you thread the needle? Because that's the hardest part of the
That is the hardest part.
Yeah.
I haven't tried in a long time.
You could not do that. So you fall in the 35% who can't do that skill set.
Yeah. I know. My home ec teacher would be disappointed in me, right?
This one I think is inflated. This is one that I think a lot of people can't do, but they think they can. Unblock a sink. So unclog a sink. Could you do that, Kristin?
If I had the right materials.
Yeah,
so you get like a
probably.
little, what's the long
plunger?
Snake?
A snake is the thing
That's for
sticks.
the toilet. There's like hair grabber, like plastic little hair grabber
they have
things
those.
you
Yeah,
can get
that's a common culprit.
As someone with a lot of hair that falls out in the shower.
It must be a complete mess.
My wife
at your
literally
house.
just used those the other day.
Yep.
So you put
Three
a lot of girls in your house. Yeah.
4 females in our house. There's a lot of hair.
All right, this is another one that I think we're rapidly losing this skill set. Check the oil in your vehicle. Kristin says no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could. I used to change the oil in my vehicle. It's about 50-50. 50 can, 50 can't.
Yeah, I can see that.
That sounds about right.
Here's the thing. All of these tasks have YouTube videos. So if pressed and needed to do any of this, and if I had my phone and an internet connection, I could figure almost any of this out.
I love that you brought that up because I'm a guy, I do a lot of handy stuff. I'm always outside doing something. And I've learned more from videos.
Totally. There's a YouTube video for literally almost everything I could ever think of, from every product that exists of how to do this. Like anything with my car, there's a video that says a 2018 Tiguan, you need to be able to do this, this, and this. And so some of the stuff on this list I couldn't do if I didn't have technology.
You're
but
right.
I also trust myself to know how to look it up.
Okay, so last one. This is sort of one of those weird ones. I can do this, I just don't want to. Change a baby's diaper.
That's actually a good question. This is probably a good millennial in honor of Father's Day coming up.
Yes.
How many diapers did you change, Steve, with your girls?
Thousands.
Oh, you did. So you were.
Oh, yeah.
Because my mom's convinced that my dad didn't change a single diaper.
That's not right. That's a shared responsibility.
She makes it sound like
Pete Brey was taking the day off on
changed
a
a lot of
diaper
diapers.
thing?
I'm guessing you changed a lot of diapers.
In my prime, oh man, I
Yeah.
could race. I would challenge anyone to a diaper changing contest.
Oh, really? High skill in that area.
Listen, when you blow through 3 kids
a lot of
in
diapers.
a matter of years,
43% of us say they don't know how to, according to the survey, can't change a kid's diaper.
But here's the thing: if you're interviewing people who do not have kids,
then you would not
and
know.
don't have any young kids in their
Yeah.
lives, I would say if we interviewed our office, which has a lot of people in like Gen Z and in their 20s, I'm guessing, and a lot of guys, I'm guessing a lot of them right now would be like, I don't know how to do that.
Last one: change a flat tire.
I have, yeah.
You could.
I could, yeah. It may take a refresher on YouTube,
right?
But I have before.
I have never changed a tire.
Oh God, I must have done dozens of them. My cars used to always blow tires for some reason because I had cheap cars in the day. Beat up vehicles. Bad tires.
And
Side
now
of the
and now
road.
you drive a gorgeous new car.
New Jeep, yeah. All right, so final word on that. 37% of us can change a flat tire, which is probably not high enough. Matt Smith, happy Father's Day, because I know
Thank you. You as well.
You've got kids, and we'll do it again next Monday on the program. Well, I won't.
You'll be here with me.
Excellent.
We'll have lots of fun.
You're going somewhere, I've
Scotland.
heard?
I'm going
Wow.
to Scotland.
Yeah, I know.
I'll
On
figure-
my birthday. He's going to be gone on my
Wow.
birthday, so I have to work.
Not even taking you with.
Not taking me with.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we'll celebrate after I get back.
You're going to call me on my birthday, aren't you? You and Gene?
We'll see what I can do.
Call into the show.
You got to book time with Gene. He
Okay.
doesn't just do things on the fly. All right, Matt Smith, Kristin Brey, Steve Scaffidi. That's hour one of Point Taken on this Monday edition right here on 620 WTMJ.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough nose and throat evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again. and it will change your life.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
When a crane collapsed during construction of a Major League sports stadium, 3 workers lost their lives. Their widows called us. When maintenance workers were permanently injured by an industrial accident at a public utilities power plant, the 7 injured workers called us. When a factory exploded, injuring dozens of workers, 18 victims, including all 3 families of men who lost their lives, called us. Because Wisconsinites know who to call when it's a must-win scenario. They call Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
UW-Madison is one of the country's leading hubs for supporting life-changing research and building a skilled workforce. An investment in UW-Madison helps make a healthier Wisconsin, build strong businesses, and win the war for workforce talent, not just at Madison, but across our entire state. Visit uwalumni.com/UW5 to tell your legislators to support UW-Madison in the Wisconsin state budget. That's uwalumni.com/UW5. Paid for by the Wisconsin Alumni Association.
Adair Floors has the newest flooring styles. Luxury vinyl flooring in plank and tile looks. Or choose from carpeting, hardwood, and porcelain tile. Flooring for every room in your home. Get personal care from Adair. Adair Floors and Remodeling, South 27th Street in Franklin.
The Braves are back in Milwaukee.
The mighty Braves from Milwaukee.
But now is no time to revel in the past.
Durbin, a drive, left center, deep, see you later!
Our Brewers-Braves game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Milwaukee Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
11:01, we have 63 degrees. It's going to be mostly cloudy, breezy with scattered showers and storms possible today, a high of 69. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Tensions are high in parts of Los Angeles after several days of protests against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown in the city. Thousands on the streets Sunday for loud but mostly peaceful protests. In other spots, tensions flared as police used tear gas, rubber bullets, and other less than lethal methods to try to control the crowds. A new Trump administration travel ban now in effect bans citizens of 12 countries from visiting the U.S. Travelers from 7 others would face restrictions. ABC's Matt Rivers is in Mexico City.
What the Trump administration is saying here is that these are countries with either a history of terrorism, whether they have histories of high rates of visa overstays. These are countries that were investigated by the State Department and found to be worthy of being included in this ban. Of course, there's going to be challenges in court, just like we saw during the first Trump administration.
Another delay for a Slender Man Stapper's release. Morgan Geyser's hearing set for today postponed after the state requested more time to complete her conditional release plan. The attorney also requested now retired Waukesha Judge Michael Boren continue to oversee her case. The latest delay comes after Judge Boren rejected a plan that would have Geyser to a group home just 8 miles from where the victim lives. A new review hearing is set for July 17th. Hundreds of cars and spectators blocking a street on Milwaukee's South Side late Sunday as part of the latest street takeover in the city.
The takeover happened near 13th and Forest Home after the earlier Puerto Rican Day Festival and Parade. It's the latest takeover of a Milwaukee City street, an issue that has prompted city leaders to propose an ordinance change that would impose a minimum fine of $500 for spectators of the events. It's unclear if any arrests were made at Sunday's takeover. Mayor Cavalier Johnson is expected to speak on a proposed automated traffic enforcement program later today. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Criminals posing as recruiters for well-known companies sending out thousands of text messages with phony job offers. Alyssa Parker of the Better Business Bureau urges anyone who receives one to just delete it.
We have a lot of people that come to us saying that they've been scammed because they had to pay in to become a part of this business. That is a huge red flag.
The FBI says the average loss to job text scams is about $3,000. Earning college credit in high school for free, CEO of Sophia Learning, Dr. Shauna Thayer, tells WTMJ about an online opportunity this summer.
Sophia is offering up to 100,000 high school juniors and seniors
free access to 6 of Sophia's college-level courses for 60 days.
3 of the free courses are general education credits, and 3 introduce career pathways, including business, nutrition, and information technology. Living up to the legacy of the greatest, boxing icon Muhammad Ali's grandson, Biaggi Ali Walsh, is a rising mixed martial arts fighter. He joined Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News, looking back on a favorite childhood memory at the Orange Bowl.
They had brought Poppy, I always call him Poppy, brought him on the field for the coin toss, and the whole stadium was chanting Ali, Ali. And being a young kid, hearing that and seeing that was very impactful. I was like, wow, Poppy's big. All these people know him.
Biaggi Ali Walsh says he spends lots of times with his grandfather in the Midwest, traveling between his hometown of Chicago and Ali's house in Berrien Springs, Michigan. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Mixed picture on Wall Street. Dow is down 34 points, 42,728. NASDAQ up 65, 19,595. S&P 500 up 7 at 6,007. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
Hey, John Mercure here for Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living. Their mission is to transform the culture of care. They specialize in caring for those with early to late stage Alzheimer's or other related dementia problems, cognitive decline. It's their specialty. They're great at it. And they also offer early memory loss classes. They can help your loved one with locations throughout our state, many here in southeast Wisconsin. I've been in their facilities. They're top notch. It's kindness at the core. It's compassion and empathy at Azura. Wisconsin-based and family-owned. It's Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living.
This season's gift with purchase is Admiral Norman. Shop now and receive skincare favorites for hydrating face and lips, including trial sizes of Aqua Bliss cleansing lotion and moisturizer, daily moisture toner, and lip conditioner SPF 15. Shop while supplies last at Merle Norman Cosmetics and Salon at Brookfield Square. Free with the purchase of 2 or more Merle Norman cosmetic products. Cosmetic accessories not included. Offer valid while supplies last at participating Merle Norman Cosmetic Studios only. Limit 1 per customer. We reserve the right to modify the gift if needed. Promotion not available at merlenorman.com.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Milwaukee lost 1-0 to the Padres at home. Brewers went 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, stranding 10 men on base. Milwaukee continues the homestand tonight against the Braves. And the Packers entering their final week of all-season workouts. Green Bay will hold a 3-day mandatory minicamp beginning tomorrow. Team will then break until training camp kicks off later this summer. Take a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-41 south at I-94. Some lanes were closed while they cleared some debris. It looks like that has been taken care of. I-41 91 north at the Illinois state line. Left shoulder there blocked due to a car crash. Here's the WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, scattered showers and storms today. 69 for the high, partly cloudy and 54 overnight. Haze tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy most of the day, high 76. Warm and humid Wednesday, storms gathering in the evening, high Wednesday 83. Then a chance of rain and storms both Thursday and Friday. Thursday's high 72. Friday we have high 64 Lakeside, 68 inland, 60 in Madison, 61 in Green Bay, 63 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scaffidi and Kristin Brey.
Welcome back to the 11 o'clock hour of Point Taken. We've got Dave Spano coming up after this. Talk all things jobs reports.
We haven't talked to him in a while. He's been on assignment or whatever Dave's been doing.
No, even more than that because of Memorial Day. A little bit. But first, just want to touch on this for a second to get your thoughts on this, Steve. So a month or so ago, 2 months ago, Terry Moran, who's an ABC senior national correspondent, got the big interview with President Trump, was in the Oval Office. Now he's in the news again because he has been suspended after he did some late night tweeting or Xing or whatever we're calling it. He characterized Stephen Miller as, quote, richly endowed with the capacity for hatred in a since deleted post. And it is pretty, when you read, should we read the whole tweet? Do you have it up?
I've got some of it on the president himself. Donald Trump says hatred is only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. It's like, wow.
Yeah. And so here's the whole thing. I got it up. This is the tweet. The thing about Stephen Miller is not that he is the brains behind Trumpism. Yes, he is one of the people who conceptualizes the impulses of the Trumpist movement and translates them into policy. But that's not what's interesting about Miller. It's not brains, it's bile. Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. Poetic as far as a late night tweet and a little bit more coherent than potentially if something he regretted in the morning. But what we expect from national correspondents?
No.
You
know, somebody looks at this and says, okay, so he can't say what he feels? Well, no, because you're a journalist. He was actually applauded for his approach to that interview. He asked the president some tough questions.
And I don't know if this is. So I listened to Jon Stewart's The Weekly Show podcast, and his latest one interviewed Caitlin Collins. And, and he applauded her as far as, she's younger than I am. Like, she has had a meteoric rise as far as her reporting. She's not only the White House correspondent right now, she also has her own show. Like, she works a lot. And it was interesting listening to her interview with Jon Stewart because she kept it straight and narrow. Like, not that he was goading her into giving her own feelings, but he was just having a natural conversation with her. And she really didn't give much about her opinion on anything. Like, she spoke very plainly and factually about her experience through Trump 1, Biden, and now Trump 2. Looking at this Terry Moran tweet, it's like it kind of, I think, speaks to at some point for any of these journalists. We know all journalists have bias, right? Because we all have bias. We all have opinions.
Yeah.
And it's their discipline that is supposed to keep them professional in keeping that to themselves. But to a certain extent, does everyone just have a breaking point?
The timing is questionable, right? Because it's after midnight. I'm not saying that he was under the influence. I don't know. But I mean, typically,
it wasn't working hours.
As I like to say, step away from the phone sometimes, especially on weekends for me. But step away. You get worked up about stuff. He can't do this. The creepy part about this, though, is apparently based on a complaint by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to ABC. What does she like? Pick up the phone and call? I don't like what Terry Moran. Is that what she does? Like, she's the snitch?
Not snitch, but as far as
she's the watchdog.
And I don't know. I mean, it's because we are seeing more media companies kowtow to this administration, right? As far
CBS,
as like payments or pulling people and just trying to figure out a way to work with this administration. So is this something that from an ABC leadership standpoint is appeasing the administration, or is it something that's like objectively this was too far and you're on timeout?
The problem with all of this is, one, again, journalists are different, and he's not an advocacy journalist.
He's not, and this is the thing.
Straight journalist.
This is not a Fox. This isn't Rachel Maddow.
Different.
This isn't Mehdi Hassan. Who am I thinking of?
Hassan.
This is ABC, and so like.
But one worries that journalists don't do their damn jobs because they're always looking over their shoulder about something the administration might be offended at, that's where it gets really dangerous, because if the media is not doing their role as watchdog and sort of reporting fairly and openly and honest about what the administration is doing because they're fearful, that doesn't make journalism better. That's dangerous. And then we have a one-sided view of what's happening. I understand the administration doesn't like critical assessment. I read the White House communications that come out to me every day, and there's probably some days there's dozens of them on everything from, the latest EO, executive order, to why the press or the media is missing something. They're written like a PR agency, not necessarily an Office of Communications, which is where they come from. So once you sort of whitewash the coverage of this president, it allows this president to feel like, oh, I can do whatever I want. And just from my perspective, not being a fan of this president, I don't want him having that air of confidence.
Fun fact about Stephen Miller and I graduated from the same high school.
How about that?
I think we might have been in the same class. I don't remember him personally, but he was a Santa Monica High School grad.
Interesting.
He was his line of thinking was not the norm at that high school. I'll say that much.
You didn't exchange glances in the hallway or locker notes.
Absolutely not.
All right. She's Kristin, Brey. I'm Steve. Lots more to get to on the program. We'll do all of that after this on 620 WTMJ.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on June 17th.
Churio sends it deep to left, and there she goes.
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Chicago Cubs.
And Yelich launches one deep right center field. Forget about it. Oh, my goodness.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Delta Dental of Wisconsin. Tune in June 17th at 7:05 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check out your local listings to watch the game.
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel.
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters.
And the Beatles were taking America by storm.
Which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richland's Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
All right. But it's important to know accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitchke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richland's Tire and Service Centers.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
We see you out there building a life you love, knowing that when inspiration strikes, nothing should get in your way. At Blaine's, we're here to help with everything you need to make it happen at prices that make it possible. Like Carl Starr specialty tires and inner tubes, 15% off. Save $80 on a 192-piece DeWalt Mechanics tool set. And 6-gallon DeWalt wet dry vacs, $79.99. Find value on the things you value. Blaine's Farm and Fleet. Be an original.
And now for the Pella Play-by-Play, here's Jeff Levering.
Thanks, Gina Della from Pella. What a beautiful day to have new windows and doors installed.
Every day is beautiful because Pella installs year-round during all seasons.
But it's so hard to guess that next pitch. The customizations seem endless.
And it doesn't have to be super expensive. Pella has a product line for every budget.
And if it is time for a major upgrade, rest easy by scoring no interest and no payments for up to 2 years. Visit PellaWI.com today.
Certain restrictions apply on 6/30/2025.
Whenever you hear that, that means coming up next is the guy, Dave Spano from Annex Wealth Management, host of Money Talk here on Saturday mornings. Hey, Dave Spano.
Hello, how are you?
I am good on this Monday. So we haven't talked in a couple weeks. Let's look back. The jobs numbers came out, I think, Friday. We talked about it a little bit with Joe Zepecki, but I'm curious on your thoughts about the revision of the jobs in April and what those numbers are telling us about our economy and more importantly, where we're going next.
Yeah, it sure looks like the tariffs are affecting some type of slowdown, and so we are watching that very carefully. And we don't want that to happen, but it's uncertainty. You just can't get around the fact that all of the tariff talks are providing uncertainty, not only from companies that are employing, but all the way down the line. So, we see the jolts. We see some jobs openings, which is the jobs number that we like to look at. We saw the ADP employment number was plus 37,000. So it's something to watch. There's no question. That's why it really is incongruent with what the Fed is saying as well. So we're going to get a CPI report on Wednesday and PPI on Thursday. So CPI is consumer price, PPI is producer price. One's for the consumer and one's for the corporations. We're going to see if inflation is coming down. So if the jobs numbers aren't congruent with what's happening with inflation, the Fed is probably going to get forced into a spot where those should start lowering rates, Steve. One of the things that I do find interesting is, for example, the ECB, the European Central Bank, they have lowered rates now 8 times. So when people look at our rates versus theirs, there is a big gap. So at some point, I think the Fed their back is going to be against the wall, and they'll have to start lowering interest rates.
What do you make of that gap? Why are they doing that and we're not doing that? I guess that's a simplistic way to look at it, but what's the disconnect there?
Yeah, generally our central bank kind of sets the tone around the world, and that's not what's happening. One of the big reasons is because most of Europe is in a major slowdown, and and the threat of tariffs over there hasn't obviously helped them, and so they're trying to spur their economy on. So right now the United States is the oasis economically. I know there's uncertainty. I get that, but right now you look around what is happening here. We are the oasis. And we don't have to follow them. It's really the other way around. What happens, though, when you have that gap is it either strengthens or weakens the dollar, and that makes exports and imports, either more expensive or less expensive. And so right now what we're seeing is that gap is providing some, I don't want to use the word uncertainty again, but that gap is making the dollar stronger, which makes our exports less competitive. Having said that, we just had a major report that says that we are doing as well on our exports. They grew 3%, and so all of this trade talk is leading to other companies buying our stuff, and I'm sure that's what Trump was trying to do. So you look at ag products, agriculture products, or LNG, liquid natural gas. Those things are starting to get sent from here around the world, and that is part of his theory, I think. But it is also allowing our exports to grow.
So there's also trade talks between the U.S. and China are starting today in London. How closely are you going to be following that?
Now, of course, we're going to follow closely, and we'll have to see. But I have to tell you, Kristin, you can't invest money on a tweet, right? So we're going to wait to actually see something, the reds of their eyes, before we make a move. And so we have to make sure that they do make progress because, as you know, these things are awfully fluid. And one day they said, they're making progress, and the next day they don't. So we're gonna watch it closely. The market is a really good barometer, and more the stock market than the bond market, Kristin. How does the bond market really react? And there's this thing called the bond vigilantes, and they really, if you remember, back in April, they put a lot of pressure on Scott Bessent to make a move, and you started to see that. I think he's a very calming voice here, the Treasury Secretary. He's thoughtful, and so we'll see what the bond vigilantes do. If they start really putting a lot of pressure on our public officials, you'll probably see them react.
Dave Spano, Annex Wealth Management, joins us every Monday here on Point Take. And after the break, some questionable inflation numbers with a question mark at the end of that question, and some of the effects, impacts of a Musk-Trump feud. We'll talk to Dave about that and more right here on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
While you're just fighting to stay relevant,
do you know who I am?
No, I can't say that I do.
Let's see how you fare outside your element.
Fly ball right field. Benson back at the track. Wall. Bye baseball. Jackson Churio quiet no more.
The Brewers host the Braves for a 3-game series. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
The big focus in America today on your health, and you're determined to look beyond the pills and steroids and surgery to feel your best, right? I want to talk to those people who are in pain right now. Or maybe it's someone you love, friend, neighbor, family, whatever it is. You've done everything they told you to do. The pain just comes back. You're exhausted, but you don't give up. Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for QC Kinetics. They're different. They're not quick fixes. This is a revolutionary treatment that works to give your body long-term relief. Their medical experts, including medical director Dr. Ashley Caravelli, will meet with you. They'll explain how their treatments take your body's own healing power. Regenerative is the term they use, helps restore your damaged tissue. Their well-respected protocols include potent and powerful cellular-level treatments. QC Kinetics has helped tens of thousands of people, many of them right here in Milwaukee. They'd be honored to help you as well. I'm scheduling an appointment in a couple weeks there. No masking the pain. They're going after the very source of it. Yes, you can say goodbye to that chronic pain and live your best life. Find out if you're a good candidate. The consultation is free. Appointments, just call QC Kinetics at 414-285-3474.
At Potawatomi, where ways to win are endless, another chance to capture epic cash and prizes comes Friday, June 27th. It's the season finale blockbuster drawings. Watch your entries from Enchanted Spins, Unreal Treasures, and Boundless Bounty come together for drawings where $300,000 in cash and prizes is there for the taking. Be there to win your share. June 27th only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info online. Must be 21 years old to play.
I'm here to help. This is your WTMJ Fix-It Show host, David Nason, with expert advice for our listeners. If you're dealing with leaks, stains, or cracks in your basement, it's time to call my trusted friends at Accurate Basement Repair. And you know what? You'll get a free expert evaluation on me. You just tell them David Nason, the Fix-It guy, told me to call. Don't let basement issues mess up your home. Trust Accurate Basement Repair to get the job done right. And again, that's Accurate Basement Repair, 414-744-6900 or AccurateBasementRepair.com.
Are you sick of not being your bank's top priority? We are too. At Wintrust, we take a different approach to banking. We're proud to be your one true banking partner focused on your unique financial goals. That's right in your backyard. Whether you're opening your first account, buying a home, planning for the future, or starting a business, we have tailored solutions to get you there. Stop settling and start experiencing a better way to bank at Wintrust.com. Wintrust, different approach, better results. Banking products provided by Wintrust Financial Corp Banks, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Dave Spano from Annex Wealth Management joining us. You want to find out more? Get started button, AnnexWealth.com, a great first step. Dave Spano. So we talk a lot about inflation. You and I have talked for years about this, the impact of inflation on our economy, and probably even more importantly, the impact of the perception of where these numbers are going. Question, though, is because of the Bureau of Labor Statistics and some of the shortages of people working there appears to be, and you correct me if I'm wrong, about some of the quality of the inflation data. Is that correct, your opinion? And what are the fears here about what that sort of incorrect data may be saying about our inflation?
Yeah, well, it was what we heard, at least, was the Wall Street Journal had a major article that said that they were understaffed and therefore giving us bad info. I mean, that was just shocking to me to see that. And so we'll have to see if we are getting bad data. You know, you look at, for example, what their target is. Their target is 2% inflation, and that's on average. And so what we're seeing right now is they're close to that. So if when you see like a 0.2 is their inflation number for the month, obviously you multiply that by 12 months, and that comes out to 2.4. And so, something around 2.4 is at least in the ballpark of what they're trying to achieve. So they are pretty close to that. You look at what I mentioned the ECB, the European Central Bank, and their inflation forecast is 1.6%. So it's getting really to the point of disinflation, and that's not what you want. You'd rather have a small number of inflation, like 2%, somewhere in there. That's their target. Obviously, when you get to the 10%, that is harmful to everybody. So they're probably pretty close. But that report that came out from the Wall Street Journal, I was waiting to see if there was any response from the Department of Labor, but I have not seen anything. But they said that they were understaffed, and therefore we might have gotten faulty numbers. But you remember, that's the public number, and then there's the ADP number, which is the private number. So I think we can compare to get a better example of where we're really at.
If the numbers were faulty, do you think it's more likely that they would overestimate or underestimate the current inflation? Doesn't matter.
Believe in conspiracies or not, right? So. If they're thinking if they're overstating it, why would they want to do that to keep the interest rates high? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'd rather that it was lower, because the higher the interest rates are, the higher that we have to pay interest on the debt. Yeah. And so if you have $36 trillion of debt, and we know that $9 trillion of that $36 trillion is coming due in this year. So they have to go out and refinance, if you will, at current interest rates. So if the prevailing rate's 4 or 5%, that's going to be the rate that we're going to see on the debt. So personally, I'd rather see it lower for lots of reasons.
We got about a minute left with Dave Spano from Annex Wealth Management. I know you sort of keep politics out of your descriptions of the way you look at all of this, but
so as you know,
just curious about your thoughts on some of that Musk-Trump dust-up last week, and does that have any implications for the markets and our finances, financial performance?
You know, do you remember you'll remember the War of the Roses movie?
Oh yeah,
right. With Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner, and they had a nice marriage, and then they found something out, and it was terrible, and they were hanging from the chandeliers, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was a divorce happened. I think it was in D.C. I think it was based in D.C. too, if I remember. But at the end of the movie, if I recall, Michael Douglas calls Kathleen Turner and says he's coming home. So we'll have to see if.
Oh, you're predicting that, are you, Dave?
Pardon me?
You're predicting that they're gonna make up?
Musk's coming home.
You know, we'll see. You know what part of the reason why this happened is because in the tax bill they were pulling all the EV credits. Well, that's right down his alley, Musk's alley, right? Because he wanted those EV credits. So, but that was not news. And so that was the reason why he called it an abomination, is just because his ox was getting gored there too.
So you don't think Musk is actually upset about how the bill potentially will increase the deficit?
Both nuts. But that's just not the way to handle it, right? So
we can agree on.
Yeah, I know. That's the one. Okay.
All right. Lots more to talk about. We'll have to do it again next week, Dave Spano.
I love it. I love being on with you guys.
We love having you.
Yeah, thanks. Right. Great partner of WTMJ. Thank you, Dave Spano. All right. Lots more to get to in our last half hour. The show went really fast today.
Fast. Monday.
What are we talking about? Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to talk about what's happening in L.A.
Yeah. I've seen cars burning and tear gas being thrown. All right, before we get to any of that, you'll probably get some of this coverage. Latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Protests in Los Angeles over ICE raids expected again today. It follows a volatile weekend of unrest and President Trump mobilizing National Guard troops into L.A. neighborhoods without Governor Gavin Newsom's approval. Newsom now says his state is suing.
Newsom says that this is purposefully inflammatory and that it only escalates the situation. That memo the president signed over the weekend sends up to 2,000 National Guard members for a period of 60 days. President Trump and Gavin Newsom have a long history of going back and forth on politics and policy issues. This is the next chapter in that long history.
ABC's Karen Travers. The White House confirming President Trump and Israel's prime minister will speak today. It has been 2 weeks since their last call when Trump warned Israel's leader not to take actions that could disrupt U.S. and Iranian talks. And in London, high-level trade talks today between the U.S. and China as the world's top economic powers try to tamp down on tariff uncertainty. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Connie Weber. Another delay for a Slenderman stabber's release. Morgan Geyser's hearing set for today postponed after the state requested more time to complete her conditional release plan. A new review hearing is set for July 17th. Hundreds of cars and spectators blocked a street on Milwaukee's South Side late Sunday, 13th and Forest Home, the latest street takeover in the city. These kinds of incidents have prompted city leaders to propose an ordinance change that would impose a minimum fine of $500 for spectators of such events. It's unclear if any arrests were made at Sunday's takeover. Green Bay Packers releasing two-time All-Pro cornerback Jair Alexander, according to multiple media reports. Alexander played just 14 games for the Packers over the past 2 seasons, had 2 years remaining on a 4-year, $84 million contract. Packers will pick up more than $17 million in salary cap space for the season. Time for some news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow up just a fraction, 42,763. NASDAQ up 56, 19,586. S&P 500 up 7 points at 6,008. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Take a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-794 west at the ramp from Car Ferry Road. Some debris in the road. It looks like that has been cleared off. There is a crash. It is going to be off right, blocking the right shoulder. I-94 west at County Road G. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy, breezy, scattered showers and storms today. High 69, partly cloudy, 54 overnight. Haze developing in the afternoon tomorrow with a high of 76. Warm and humid on Wednesday. Mostly sunny, but storms gathering in the evening. A high Wednesday of 83. Chance of rain and storms both Thursday and Friday. Thursday, high 72. Friday, we've got highs in the mid to upper 60s. Right now in Madison, we've got 62. Green Bay, we have 62 degrees. And Milwaukee, 64. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:33.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors rank first among all home improvement projects. To see Geis's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geisdoors.com. Geis has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geis at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geis. Visit them online at geisdoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Pain, tingling, burning in your hand and wrist, wakes you up at night, makes life difficult. Working with your hands is nearly impossible. If that sounds like you may suffer with carpal tunnel syndrome. The problem is Medicare pays for the old open surgery done in a hospital or surgery center. And it's no walk in the park. Big incision, 6-week recovery. I mean, imagine your hands being bandaged up, unable to use it for 6 weeks. So if you want to, you can have that old open surgery the government says to get, or you have another option. An ultra minimally invasive procedure done in the office that can give you immediate relief in 15 minutes and you are back to your life in just one day. The Ovation Technique, only at Ovation Hand Institute. You've suffered long enough. You don't have to put the fix off anymore. Visit ovationhand.com and see the difference with your own eyes. ovationhand.com.
Welcome to the jungle, Steve.
Jazz says, hell with that Taylor Swift. We're going with Axl Rose.
Well, this is certainly what the news coverage feels like of what Los Angeles looks like right now, because federal immigration sweeps in Los Angeles sparked 2 days of protests around the city, which then prompted a standoff between the White House and state officials over whether authorities had the situation under control. We should start by, as someone who lived in Los Angeles, a reminder that Los Angeles is very big. The entire city is not on fire.
No. It's actually a small area.
It's a small area. It's consolidated to one part of the city. I'm sure if you were at Santa Monica High School, you didn't watch the news, you had no idea that this was going on. But that again, some of the images and video that's coming out looks fairly reminiscent to 2020. And so the thing to me that shouldn't get lost in this is the fact that, let me get this right, that the last time a president deployed the National Guard against governor's wishes, do you know who it was?
Texas?
President Lyndon B. Johnson sent service members to Alabama in 1965 to protect the civil rights demonstrators.
Right.
So this feels like, as far as Trump deploying 2,000 National Guard members, when Mayor Bass said the situation was under control, Governor Gavin Newsom said the situation was under control. Literally, the LAPD, not known for its, being super woke as far as when it comes to civil rights protests, had also put out a statement on Saturday saying they had it under control, and yet the administration felt like they needed to step in.
Yeah, many of those Saturday declarations have changed since Saturday because they've lost control. In some places, they've had massive number of vehicles burned, physical altercations, tear gas deployed. Basically, the president is saying, and this is a direct quote, incidents of violence and disorder based on a form of rebellion against the United States. Now, is that completely off base? Absolutely. I think where this gets tricky is, again, it's setting up a scenario where this can only get worse. And none of this is a positive development in this country. Now, we know this administration. This administration has gone after people. Remember what they said during the campaign? Criminals. Well, they've gone after people who are, and I know I don't want to parse the whole conversation we've had for the last few weeks about illegal versus whether that's a crime or not. The country, the parties, Congress will have to decide ultimately what we do with immigration. We'll have to figure that out, and we haven't. That's why we're having these questions. But this rises above all of that. This is an escalation of what it used to be just peaceful protest into something else. That's the dangerous part of this. When you see vehicles being destroyed, like we saw in 2020 and 2021, it moves past it, or buildings destroyed like we saw in Minneapolis. That's not protest. That's destruction of property, in some cases deadly and dangerous. I don't want to see this escalate. Do I support the president's ideas on this? Absolutely not. I think this is way over his skis.
Which part?
The fact that he's sending National Guard troops. I don't like it.
How do you feel about the fact that they're going to like immigration hearings and grabbing people while they're trying to do it legally?
I don't like it because they're not doing it in the right fashion. They're
or going to graduations and grabbing
people
parents
that shouldn't
as their
be
kids are
arrested.
walking across the stage.
If you're going to do this, do it the way the law intends, with due process. I know that's a crazy word for some people. That's how this country and our Constitution is written. First due process, then follow what that suggests. There's courtrooms, there's process and procedures in place, even with the mixed up, screwed up immigration policy. Do it the right way. Don't grab people, often with no ID, wearing masks, because you say your agents are being threatened now personally. Don't know if that's true or not. I guess the agents would have to speak to that.
Some people don't have badges. And
some of them don't
we've
have
gotten
badges.
Mixed feedback as far as
yeah,
whether
it's sort
that's
of
legal.
It's sort of a gray area because they do have some right to sort of be undercover. So I don't want to get into all of that because that's it's a public safety law enforcement question that I'm not qualified to answer. I just worry about escalation. And when we saw what happened post George Floyd, legitimate protests turn into destruction. And I don't want to see cities destroyed. And I certainly don't want to see LA destroyed because it's a great city. I think it's the largest. Isn't it the largest city in the country now over that area? The metro?
Largest by the geographic or
no, just
population?
the people. The metro.
Well, I know that in Los Angeles County is 12 million people.
It's insane.
One county is 2 Wisconsins.
Whatever you think about immigration or immigration policy, there's still a process and a way things have to be done. And once you break that down, once you indiscriminately just do whatever the hell you want as an administration or its enforcers, you will have chaos. That's what I worry about.
Here's a question that I was thinking about over the weekend, specifically for you, Steve. One, have you ever gone to a protest?
I don't think so. Yeah. For what?
Anything. I'm just asking if you've ever in your life
I don't think so.
Gone to a protest.
Not that I recall.
Is there anything that would get you to a protest? Because I was thinking about that because I feel like this is reminiscent of what is the right way to protest. And I think a lot of people do agree that when it devolves into vandalism, it's harder to build support for the movement you're advocating for. And sometimes people who are actually in the groups that are being targeted aren't the people who show up to protest. And there's people sometimes who just want to fight.
Yeah, they go there for nefarious reasons.
And they're not necessarily representative of the groups that are trying to be represented in a different way. But I digress. But as far as thinking about this, as far as potential for opening the door for more civil rights to be trampled on from different groups, like, do you Steve, have a red line that would like get you in the streets protesting?
I think probably if it's personal, someone that I know is
been
harmed,
taken or
anything. I mean, that's where I think it would probably hit near and dear to me, and I would actually get fired up and say, you know what, this is not right. That might be my red line.
Something happening to like someone in your life.
Yeah. I think that's everybody's red line, isn't it? When it becomes personal, we've talked about this before on the podcast, is all politics personal? And this is one of those ones where it's certainly creeping into that, because when you don't do things properly, you cause more chaos than is necessary. And I think this escalation of the sort of the screw-ups, taking people who are actually citizens and treating them like they're non-citizens, that's not a good thing. And it suggests a lack of thoroughness And they want to be efficient, sure, as a government, but you also want to make sure you're doing it right. And I don't know that that's certainly in play here. And I worry for L.A. because it is an important city in our country. And I think when we see things like this happening, all of us remember what's happened in our country's past. We don't want to revisit that. We have to fix the things that are wrong, but do it in the right way. She's Kristin, I'm Steve. On protests across this country, we'll have lots more to say on a lot of different things in our remaining 17 minutes of Point Taken as I watch a zebra run down a street on one of our monitors. Not sure what that story's about.
Oh,
and a kangaroo. It's Animal Day here on Point Taken. Kristin and Steve, back after this.
All types of injury lawyers advertise. Cartoon lawyers, bobblehead lawyers, and folks chasing ambulances with text messages. Our clients don't want or need such lawyers. Our clients know, like, and trust that Pasternak and Zergabel will help in their time of need. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak and Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are excellent personal injury lawyers in our community. If you need help after an injury, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com. That's injurywisconsin.com.
Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi and Loyal Family Renovations. Yes, Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day for me after a brutal storm in my city of Oak Creek. Hail damage. We had a lot of it, and Jeff and Jake and the whole team, who I sat dinner with not too far ago, absolute pros, made the entire process. This is why I love these guys. Entire process smooth as possible. They work with my insurance company. We all got on the phone at the same time, got the most value, handled all the questions. Because let's be honest, we're not all experts on insurance or insurance adjusters, right? Quick answers, top-notch customer service, the best, I would argue. And in just 2 days, I went from a old roof to a brand new, very highly functional, great-looking roof, clean. They even had that crazy tool that picks up the nails that they missed. Loved all this stuff. I was so impressed, I told my whole neighborhood about it. If storm damage hits you, call the team that made it easy for me, Loyal Family Renovations. Visit loyalfamilyrenovations.com today.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. I hope you'll join me and Brian Jacobson, the chief economist for Annex Wealth Management, this Wednesday, June 11th at 9 a.m. as we dive into the markets, inflation, your 401k, and the economy. I know it's complicated and you have a lot of questions. Brian's got a lot of answers. This is a free webinar, but you need to register ahead of time. Go to WTMJ.com, click the Instant Insight Register Now button, or you can find it at AnnexWealth.com. It's Wednesday, June 11th, 9 a.m. Register today.
At Big Fish Contracting, we want every home project to be a good story worth sharing. That's why we as a team aim to exceed your expectations. We can improve any aspect of your home. Everything from a complex remodel to the essential roof, gutters, siding, and windows. Integrity, humility, and kindness are why we've grown in southeastern Wisconsin for the last 2 decades. Visit bigfishcontracting.com to learn how Big Fish is renovating homes and redeeming an industry.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Shopco Optical. Get eyewear for everything you do at Shopco Optical. Schedule your annual comprehensive eye exam, check out new frame styles, and order your annual supply of contact lenses all in one place. Enjoy the time and attention your eyes deserve at Shopco Optical. Receive quality eye care and a personalized vision solution tailored to your specific vision and lifestyle needs. Call Shopco Optical or visit shopco.com to schedule an appointment at a location nearest you.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlawns.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Rich Lawns.
So the Chiron right now on CNN. Trump on if Homan should arrest Governor Newsom. Quote, I would.
Well, I mean, yesterday...
this wasn't even that long ago that there was conversations around if Homan would arrest Governor Evers.
Yeah.
And that kind of died down. It doesn't seem like it's
War of words was going on
anymore.
Yeah.
But could you, I mean, I would say it's a much, don't get me wrong, all respect to Governor Evers, say Governor Newsom, a little bit higher profile. So if he were to get arrested, that would be, I don't know on what grounds, but that would be a showdown.
That would be an epic showdown, and it's one that I know the president likes to win, and he likes the hashtag winning. I don't know if that's a win for him. You arrest a governor in his own state
for what?
For what? Disagreeing with you? Unless Gavin Newsom is throwing a firebomb onto a car for speaking differently than you like. That we do have First Amendment even for governors. They can say what they think about presidential policies. So I'm not sure what the arrest thing would be a part. What would be a part of that? The other thing yesterday that the president was quoted as saying was to protesters, "If they spit, we hit." That's a whole nother escalation as well, because this has happened throughout time. Typically, that doesn't happen.
Well, and it's interesting because Kash Patel, Kristi Noem, a lot of the public statements on the protests in LA over the weekend was if you will be arrested if you hit a police officer. This is I think Stephen Miller said this is an insurrection. And of course, the immediate response for a lot of people is pictures from January 6th of saying, well, what was this then?
Yeah, logic is sort of a tricky wicket for people that don't believe in logic or don't use it to make their rational decisions. It's again, not a good development. We have to sort these things out. This administration, if you love him, you're saying more power to him. He's going after these people. If you don't like him, you're saying, all right, so what's next here? An explosion of violence across this country? Now, you and I were talking during the break. If Trump puts the hammer down, violence, either in response to violence or violence happens as a result of protests, whatever that means to people, because it's different for everybody. If he does that, and he quells that to whatever degree or whatever description of that you want to use, does he come out and say, "I knocked it down. I knocked down the LA protest"? Is he a winner? That's what he's going for. He likes to stack wins, and whether this is good for the country, we're all going to have to decide that. There's another election in 3.5 years. We're going to have to decide that again. Who's going to take the next mantle as president? Certainly not going to be Donald Trump because he can't run again.
So you think deploying the National Guard on citizens, if it quells a protest, would be more popular than not?
To his support,
in the national environment right now.
Yeah, to his supporters.
No, but I'm saying, because obviously there's his supporters, there's people who will hate him no matter what, there's a bunch of people who didn't vote, and then there is that middle ground, right? The middle ground that swings based on who's up for election.
Right.
In that, do you think that there is more support for quelling and shutting down protests, or more fear, depending on how, how this could play out in my state, in my community?
There is support for National Guards or using other than public safety law enforcement folks to squash violent protests. If you're using National Guardsmen or women to quash protests, nonviolent, that's an overreach. I don't think there's much support for that.
But the timeline here sounds like it wasn't violent until the National Guard showed up.
Well, that's always the escalator, right? That's why these things are dangerous, because you see that escalation because now we see cars burned, right? Thankfully, I don't think anyone lost their life. But I saw the monitor on the monitor this morning. There was 4 or 5 cars that are completely torched. That's escalation. Just because someone shows up doesn't mean you get to escalate just because in response to that. So but they're not. It's not helpful. So setting the National Guard, unless it's totally out of control and law enforcement has lost control, that's the only time it should be utilized. This doesn't feel like that to me.
It doesn't feel like that to me either, and that's what I'm saying. As far as, is this a step towards normalizing all of this?
Sure, in this president's minds, sure, because that's sort of what he's saying just now that we started with this segment. I'll arrest the governor. Sure, I would. It's not positive. I know people like to flex the baton and be the tough guy or tough girl. It's not helpful right now. We have enough things to fix. We don't need to fight about it in that sense. All right, Kristin and Steve will wrap it up. I'll tell you about my new show, which debuted Saturday, and I've got an update on Hawaii. We're so close. I'm hearing one couple can go with us. That's all that's left. Okay. We'll do that update after this.
Summerfest is almost here.
Hey, the music.
Benson Boone.
The
the food.
Saz's sampler platter.
All the things that make Summerfest great, and we're going to send you
to all 9 days.
Hey, it's Summerfest on us.
Keep it tuned to WTMJ for your chance to win tickets to every single day of Summerfest.
We'll have your opportunity on our show, Wisconsin's Midday News, to go to Summerfest on us.
Happy Summerfest from all of us right here at WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for avid eye snoring issues, tossing and turning restless nights of sleep, and probably woke me up a lot more than I realized. My poor wife, Kathy, who tells me she can't read a GPS. To put it simply, my nose wasn't working properly. I went to Advent, 30-minute visit. They put me at ease, which is they're really good at that. They answered my questions. We did a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. My problem, very common problem, sinuses and nasal passage in my breathing triangle. After a short procedure, breathing better than ever. That's 5 years from now, or 5 years ago. Love it. Sleeping through the whole night, that's the gift that keeps on giving, trust me. If you struggle like I used to, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to adventknows.com, schedule an appointment today, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like frames. Because you found a classic 70s concert poster. But when you went to get it framed, you realized the frame will cost about 4 times the amount of the poster. Which is actually absurd because no one will be looking at the frame, and if they are, then you severely overestimated how cool this poster is. But then you remember by switching your home and auto to Progressive, you could save hundreds and put it towards a classic 70s concert poster in an absurdly overpriced frame. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
I can save you at least $2,000. Vince Vitrano here for my team at USA Insulation, where Jeff is offering a minimum savings of $2,000 on your insulation project of $5,000 or more. These are the folks with the proprietary injection foam, filling your walls from bottom to top, where you lose up to 85% of your summer cooling. Find out how much Jeff can save you. Book your free in-home consultation today at usainsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 255368.
At Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage, our closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 less than the banks or the mortgage guys with the Rocket for exactly the same rate. Find out how much you can save at accunet.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Thanks for tuning in on this Monday edition. We got a whole week of shows before I head off to Scotland. I am looking forward to vacation. Kristin will be handling everything as she often does.
We'll see how many unhinged liberal texts I get.
Oh,
and how unbalanced the show is when you're not here, Steve.
Better find you some conservatives.
I'm looking.
All right. Real quick, we debuted WTMJ Outdoors over the weekend. A lot of great comments I got on email. Thanks for all the people who listen. You can find all of our episodes at WTMJ.com and pretty soon this week, wherever you get your podcast. WTMJ Outdoors, just search that. Great show last week, great show this week. We're talking rock climbing and Great Lakes fishing. So if you're a fisherman or fisherwoman, awesome responsibilities.
Angler?
Also, Angler.
That's
it's a great term.
The professional term.
Yes. And real quickly, because I was texting with Rose over the weekend, I think there's room for one more couple to go with us to Hawaii. So
or two singles who have an awesome meet cute on this trip and end up getting married.
I love the way you're
invited
going.
to the wedding.
Yep. I love that storyline. Did you just think of that
I did.
on the
It was
spot?
the foundation for a rom-com in the making.
So if you're that couple or maybe another, it might be 2 or 4, but if you're thinking about going, I would suggest you do it today because we'll fill that out pretty quickly and then the bus door closes or the airplane door closes, then we'll have to move on to our next trip. But if you want to go, today's the day to do it. Or you want to talk real quickly about
just a quick shout
out
to Pride, the Pride Parade yesterday in Milwaukee. The rain did not deter us.
No.
Did not deter the parade itself. It was wet. It was fun. It was beautiful. It is just a reminder that life is way more fun when you love everyone and you love your community.
The pictures are amazing, by the way. I've seen pictures from everybody.
Frankie ate a lot of street candy yesterday. And,
That's always a treat.
She was enjoyed her first Pride Parade. I will say that.
All right, we'll do it all again tomorrow. Kristin, point taken.
Point taken.
Yep, Tuesday edition. Tomorrow, news is next.
Here's to time out on the water in Wisconsin. To living your best life while enjoying the lake life.
Ready?
And getting up on a wakeboard.